Hi, it's Ileana, and today I'm going to discuss a question that I was asked about how can there be bases, Anunnaki base and planetary corporations base on Pluto if it's very cold on the surface of the planet, it's icy, and how can these bases even exist? Well, these two different bases, the Anunnaki base and the Planetary Corporations base, they're underground. They're under the surface of Pluto, underground, deep underground bases, and they're covered by dome systems. So the ice and the toxins from the atmosphere, the carbon monoxide and the nitrogen, they don't reach inside the bases because the bases are underground. And again, they're protected by the dome systems. There's actual domes covering these bases, all the buildings and the structures. So it's not cold inside the bases. The bases have their own gravity, sustainable living arrangements, their own atmosphere, heat, warmth, and I would imagine air conditioning in the summer if it's hot. So these are self-sustaining operation systems, both the Anunnaki and the SSP. The Anunnaki base has been there for 1,000 years with 300 personnel on the base. And the Planetary Corporations base has been there for around 30 years from what I can tell. And it has a lot of advanced technology there. And again, everything is covered by the domes. And there's about Planetary Corp base, there's almost 6 structures there. And they have about 200 to 250 personnel. Sometimes it gets up to 600 personnel when there's scientists there doing their projects, because it's a secret laboratory research facility as well, not just a base. So they've had to build out their facilities up to 6 big structures now, and the domes as well. And they grow a lot of food. They do a lot of research with organic plants and stuff in the biodomes. And that's very controlled environment where there cannot be any fluctuations or modulations in cold or heat. The temperature has to be ambient and consistent to grow food in the biodomes, which are different from the habitat living domes. The temperatures are different there. But that's how you're able to live in these types of bases on planets that don't really have hospitable atmospheres or thin atmospheres. That's how there's bases on Mars as well and the moon, because those bases, even if they're on the surface, they're protected by electromagnetic dome covers or other types of domes. That's how you can have bases in the craters or underground bases, again, protected by domed systems. It's like you have biodome greenhouses here on Earth. They're covered with fiberglass or other types of materials that make it possible to grow food year round because the temperature is consistent. It's climate controlled to be warmer or cooler to grow the food, regardless what the outside elements are, whether it's hot or cold. You can grow food in biodomes and geodesic domes, and it's been done all over the world. Science has proven that geodesic round dome structures can be utilized for growing food, living year-round in these types of buildings and structures on Earth. It's not a surprise that these kinds of living environments also exist on other planets, that they've figured out how to build these bases and protect them with the domed systems. where it's climate controlled and you can have any type of climate with warmth, with insulation, with gravity and atmosphere inside the structures and the domes. They figured out how to do this, Planetary Corp and the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki had figured it out, obviously, 1,000 years earlier than planetary corporations, and even earlier, thousands of years ago, 450,000, because that's when they came to Earth. And the Anunnaki have colonies on multiple planets. They've colonized multiple planets. Nibiru is not their main planet where they live. They don't live on Nibiru as a species. That planet is not even their planet of origin where they originally came from. They settled that planet and they terraformed it. So that's not their original place of where they came from as a species. They had come from different places in this universe, and Nibiru was one of the planets they were allowed to colonize in the beginning, and then they spread out to other planets where they have colonies. So when people say that the Anunnaki are originally from Nibiru, they're not. That was just one of the colonies that they had on Nibiru. They colonized the planet and built out many colonies. They had colonies on Earth as well for a while. So it's not a planet of origin where they were born. That's not where they originally come from. They come from many different planets. They came from the Orion system. Some Anunnaki are part reptilian as well. So if they have these deep green eyes, they have reptilian genetics. Not all Anunnaki are reptilian based, but they have had hybridization programs with reptilian human Anunnaki DNA mixed in, especially the Akhenaten pharaoh line. They had actually gray hybridization done by the Anunnaki, where gray DNA was used to create the tall pharaohs with the elongated heads. So some of them had gray genetics mixed in their family lineages. The taller, broader based Anunnaki, they had some reptilian genetics, like the Gigi workers. They were very tall. They were taller than the other Anunnaki. There's a diverse genetic background to the Anunnakis and where they come from. Some of them are Syrian, Nibirian, Orion. A lot of them interbred with humans on Earth and had hybrid children. Some people identify as Anunnaki in their galactic heritage. There's nothing wrong with having some Anunnaki lineage. Not all Anunnaki were evil, mean, bad, or sought to destroy humans. It's not about just stereotyping them as one race. They're not one race. They have many galactic lineages and where they come from. So you can't just say that Anunnaki is just one species of beings. There are many different humanoid type, reptilian, Orion, hybrid beings that for the most part look very much humanoid. At one point they had variant skin colors of gray, reddish bronze skin. Some had paler skin, some had more color defined skin, depending on which colonies they came from on different planets. There's no one specific point of origin. Someone has mentioned that there's a planet called Ashtara where the Anunnaki originate from, where they as a species came from. I can't verify that because I haven't looked into that, but it's been mentioned that Ashtara is a planet where Anunnaki as a species came from. It's out there in information, so I thought I'd mention that. Not sure about that planet. I would need to have a look at it to see if that's true or not, but someone is claiming that Ashtara is a planet. Where they came from could be, Who knows? I know of Nibiru from research that that was one of their primary planets that they had colonized heavily, and the atmosphere needed to be reionized and it needed gold nanoparticles to make it work. So for a while, that was one of their biggest colonies on Nibiru, but they don't live there permanently. I looked up the name Ashtara or Ashtari, and it means problem solver, healer, and comfortable. Oftentimes, name meanings have significance to what the name actually represents. Whether it's a planetary name or somebody else's name, a being, anything that has a name has an energetic significance, and it has a vibration that it carries. Ashtari also means admirable. It is a name that signifies unity and is really focused on problem solving, bringing things together, managing things, and putting things in order. It has a numerology of 4 and heart numerology of 11 for the numbers. It's interesting. Things also are numerology significance and meaning as well in the vibration of the number frequencies. Having a look at that, I think the planet itself, the name of the planet for where the Anunnaki supposedly come from in their origins, like the first planet where they were created, the name itself has decent significance in terms of what the name represents. I think the name itself is interesting. Not sure about anything else about the planet because I'm not looking at the planet, just the name significance of it. For Nibiru, the name significance is crossing place, place of crossing, place of traveling, and movement. So that's the significance of what the name Nibiru is, one of the colony planets of the Anunnaki, Anunnukai, the sky people, the people that came from the sky. That's what Anunnaki stands for. The sky gods, the beings that came from the sky travelers. Those are the different names that Anunnaki or Anunnukai stands for. And there's Ki is key, life force energy at the end. Anu is bringing in energy for creation. Just the word Anuna, Anu, stands for creation, bringing in creation, working with energy to create, to alter, to change, to explore, working with different energies and frequencies, to change things energetically, to add, to remove, to wield power. Anu, Anunnukai, Anunnaki, the key, life force energy. All names have significance, and I look at names as a frequency vibration, what the meanings are, and I explore the meanings. So I thought I would explore Nibiru, Ashtari, and Anu, Anunas, and Anunnukai, and Anunnaki. It's interesting that Anuna is bringers of life, bringers of exploring life, creating life, and changing life. From beginning to the middle and the end point, exploring life force energy. That's what Anuna means. And interesting, bringers of life. So thank you so much and namaste.